What's up, YouTube? This is True Raw for TV. And this is a requested video from one of my subscribers. They wanted me to do a comparison between two coaches, Skiles and Mike Fratello. And I got to tell you right now, before even going into uh, their coaching records, you know, accomplishments, awards, it's Mike Fratello. I don't think we really have to go too deeply into this, but let's just do it anyway. So Skiles was a decent player, not great. He was decent. I think he has best years, I would say, with the Orlando Magic. I think most of us would say that. Matter of fact, Skiles holds the NBA record. He holds the NBA record for most assists in a game with 30. He did that, I think it was December of 1990. I believe the opponent was the Denver Nuggets. And you have to give an assist to his teammates. If you actually seen that game, they made some crazy shots down the stretch, man. I believe he broke the record that was previously held by, what was his name? Kevin Porter. Not the Kevin Porter Jr. They're not related at all, but Kevin Porter used to play for the Wizards, back then the Bullets, the Pistons. I think he played the Nets too. But anyway, Skiles retired, I think, in 1996. And he first became a head coach with the Phoenix Suns in the 1999-2000 season. He went 40-22 that year. I think he was a replacement. Can't remember who he replaced. Maybe it was Cotton Fitzsimmons. I'm not sure. Coached for the Phoenix Suns for a couple of years. Then he coached for the Chicago Bulls. I definitely remember that period of time. That's when the Bulls were the baby Bulls. They sucked for the most part until around 2005. Then he coached the Bucks. I think that was perhaps his longest coaching stint with the Bucks, or equal to the Bulls at least. And he spent 1 year coaching the Orlando Magic, and he's not coaching the NBA since then. He had a 478 and 480 record as a coach, so essentially 500, officially 499, 18-24 record in the postseason, a 429 win percentage. He missed the playoffs as a head coach 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different times. But he did make it to two conference semifinals. His first year with the Phoenix Suns in 2000, and in Chicago in 2007, they lost in the conference semifinals. I do remember that Bulls team. I think uh, what's his name? Ben Gordon was on that team. I think they upsetted the defending champion Miami Heat that year, if I'm not mistaken. Um, as far as coaching awards, he doesn't have any. Okay, doesn't have any. Mike Fratello, on the other hand, was NBA Coach of the Year during the 1985-86 season. That's when he was coaching the Atlanta Hawks. I believe that was probably his most successful stint as a head coach. He was the NBA All-Star Game head coach in 1988. I believe the Hawks had the best record in the Eastern Conference at that time, though I don't think they finished with the best record in the East. And he won the Chuck Day Lifetime Achievement Award in 2022. He finished with a head coaching record of 667 and 548 for a 549 win percentage. His postseason coaching record is 20-42. He missed the playoffs 4 times, and the best he did as a head coach was 3 years in a row with the Atlanta Hawks, losing in the conference semifinals in '88. Of course, that was the famous duel series, Game 7, Bird versus Wilkins, in which the Boston Celtics were victorious. Um, I mean, who can we? By the way, in '87, The Atlanta Hawks finished first in the Central Division with a 57-25 record. Look, at the end of the day, it's Mike Fratello. He had success with different franchises. Atlanta Hawks, of course, with Dominique Wilkins and Kevin Willis and Doc Rivers and uh, Kevin Willis, Doc Rivers. If I said I might have said Doc Willis, Doc Rivers, Kevin Willis, Tree Rollins, Spud Webb. I think Eddie Johnson was on that roster. Not the Eddie Johnson with the Phoenix Suns, but the Eddie Johnson who played in the 70s or early 80s, early to mid 80s, Fast Eddie Johnson, who passed away some years ago. That was a great, great team, right? But then he coached the Cleveland Cavaliers, and he had success with them. Remember that year? I think it was 95, 96, 96, 97, 97, 98. Those years, those teams went to the postseason, except for 97, I think. Matter of fact, in 97, now this is burned in my memory. 97, didn't they play an extra game that year or something? I think in 97, it was like I think because they finished with the exact same record, I think them and the then Washington Bullets, they had like one extra game that was like a playoff game that would determine who would go to the playoffs. And I think the Bullets won that game. Maybe I'm having a false memory, but I think I remember that. But they came that close to making the playoffs in 96, 97. 42-40. I think that's the exact same record that the Bullets had. I think that's last year they were the Bullets. But anyway, it's a team that had, I think, Terrell Brandon, I think a young Zydrunas Ilgauskas was on that team. In 97, I think they had Bobby Ferry, not Bobby Ferry, Bobby Sura. I think Terrell Brandon, not Terrell Brandon, excuse me. There's a guy named the black dude, man. Everybody said was the ugliest player in the NBA. Oh my God, man. Power forward. What is his name? I can't think of his name right now. I think Bobby Fields is on that team. Chris Mills is on that team. I think Dan Marlin might have been gone by then, but I think he was there in 95, 96. But anyway, Mike Fratello also coached the Memphis Grizzlies. They went to the playoffs in the mid 2000s. So he had success with various franchises. And to be honest with you, he took like a 3 or 4 year break from coaching in the early 90s to be a color commentator with, I think it was TNT/NBC, the czar, Mike Fratello. So he missed some years. Because to be honest with you, he's kind of like a fringe Hall of Fame coach, you know. So this ain't even close to me. It's Mike Fratello. Not to say that Scott Skiles didn't have some success, but Mike Fratello, man, you know, was having great success. Also coaching in a very stacked Eastern Conference. You know what I mean? In the Eastern Conference, you had at the time in the 80s, you had the Bird, you had the Celtics, you had the Pistons, you had the upcoming Bulls, you had the Cavaliers who were up and coming at that time. And then in the 90s, when he was coaching the Cavs, you know how loaded they were. You had the Bulls, you had the Knicks, you had the Pacers, you had the upcoming Orlando Magic. Did I say the Pacers already? The Pacers, Grant Hill's Pistons, the Miami Heat were coming up around that time. Yeah, so it was a very stacked Eastern Conference, and he still had some success. So I would give it to Mike Fratello. And he was also, I would say, probably a more popular coach with his players than Scott Skiles, who was kind of hard-nosed, old school, almost like a drill sergeant type guy. That shit doesn't really fly in today's pampered, coddled, fingernail painting NBA. So yeah, it's Mike Fratello. It's not even close. Tell me what you guys think.